Welcome to today's Explainer. Fair warning right up front. The concepts we're unpacking today are deeply unsettling. They carry a real weight of existential dread. We're going to be exploring a grim, dark Gothic fable known as The Silence of the Archive. And I'll be guiding you through this with, honestly, a sense of mournful reverence, because what we're really looking at here is a profound warning about the hubris of knowledge. It's a story that forces us to face the terrifying realization that meaning itself is completely impermanent. I want you to picture this stark, almost graphic novel-style landscape. It's dusk, and here we meet the Baron and the Grey Spirit, whose plague mask casts this long, sickle-shaped shadow across the stone. As this quote sets up, these two aren't just your typical villains. They are harbingers of a profound epistemological collapse. They haven't come to burn a building down. No, they're here to systematically dismantle the very illusion of human understanding. Section 1. The Shadow at the Door. Our fable begins right at the threshold of human certainty. We meet our protagonist, a small, ink-stained scholar named Dr. Hess, literally barring the heavy oak door with his own body. He isn't just protecting a pile of books. To him, this archive is a towering fortress of absolute truth. He truly believes that these great minds have successfully wrestled with the dark and left eternal lanterns behind for the rest of us. He cries out to the Baron, "You cannot touch what does not belong to you." It's a desperate plea, but it perfectly highlights humanity's deep, arrogant assumption that we can somehow own, cage, and perfectly preserve meaning. We build these vast monuments out of paper, and we trick ourselves into believing we've captured the entire universe in ink. Section 2. A Game of Ruined Telephone. Now, the Baron is fundamentally unimpressed by paper fortresses. He tilts his head and asks a simple, piercing question. "Doctor, who taught you to read?" It instantly unravels the scholar's entire worldview. Hess stammers out that his father taught him at his knee before he died. And the Baron presses on that memory so gently, kind of like the way you'd press on a bruise, exposing the deep vulnerability right beneath the scholar's armor. This vividly illustrates that knowledge isn't some solid, unshakable tower. Think about it. You trace a proud scholar back to a father teaching a son, all the way back to a child drawing shapes in the mud beside a river that literally doesn't exist anymore. It's an incredibly fragile, degrading chain, stretching back to primitive origins that are entirely lost to time. The transmission of knowledge is inextricably linked to death and existential grief. The Baron tells Hess that our vast archives are just a game of ruined telephone played across the graves of everyone we've ever loved. It means everything we hold as absolute truth is tainted. It's just a copy of a copy, passed down by ghosts. Section 3. The Frailty of Memory. So, if written words are just this ruined telephone, what about the mind itself? Hess recoils from the Baron's logic and desperately clings to the very last vestige of human certainty, his own internal recollections. He tells the Baron that his memory holds the truth of his father, of his life, and that it cannot be erased. He desperately needs his mind to be an untouchable sanctuary, immune to the decay of the physical world. But the Baron delivers a completely mournful revelation that strips away even that final comfort. He asks Hess if he remembers his father's face, or merely the last time he remembered it. He points out that every recollection is a copy of a copy, degrading in the mind's dark waters. We don't remember the original event. We're just continually degrading our own pasts. Memory, as he says, is a traitor. Human memory is just as flawed as ink on paper. Section 4. The Breath of Truth. Now we reach the climax of this dark fable. The Grey Spirit completely bypasses the physical defenses. It doesn't smash down the doors or set the books on fire. Instead, it passes right through the wall as a column of silver vapor, walking the long rows with the slow reverence of a funeral procession. The spirit touches nothing, but it stops at the oldest manuscript and simply breathes upon the page. And that forces the ancient text to do something far worse than burned. It forces the words to become honest. This is such a grim sequence, but it visualizes epistemological nihilism perfectly. Absolute truth is an illusion, and when the spirit's breath strips away our arrogant certainty, language itself simply collapses. Every assertion turns to a question. The declarations of truth soften, they hedge, they buckle, and finally, the ink recedes into blank white vellum.
The language isn't destroyed, it's merely returned to the silence from which it was borrowed in the first place. Section 5. The limits of language.
As this curse of absolute honesty spreads throughout the archive, we witness the terrifying unraveling of our fragile human constructs. It brings us face to face with epistemological nihilism, the idea that meaning isn't inherent to the universe. Truth is merely a human illusion. It's just a temporary, fragile layer of paint that we've smeared over a chaotic universe to make ourselves feel better, and it can be effortlessly peeled away.
The collapse here is absolute. It's devastating. Look at these systems we hold so dear. Under the weight of unvarnished truth, philosophy becomes mere conjecture. History, our great anchor to the past, becomes nothing but rumor. Poetry becomes noise. These mighty systems of belief are instantly reduced to their meaningless, chaotic components. What this reveals is that language is merely borrowed from the eternal silence. It's a fundamentally flawed, inadequate tool that we use to try and desperately carve some kind of meaning out of a cold, completely unresponsive void. And as we see here, in the end, the void always reclaims what belongs to it.
Section 6. Return to silence.
The aftermath leaves us with a truly haunting image of humanity's ultimate helplessness. Within an hour, the devastation is complete. Every single shelf holds only empty pages. It's a scene of profound existential grief. The scholars are weeping, literally clutching blank books to their chests, pressing their faces against paper that can no longer answer them. They've been entirely severed from the dead minds they relied upon. The lanterns in the dark have been completely extinguished.
And then we get the most chilling erasure of all. Dr. Hess opens his private journal, desperately trying to at least record this tragedy. But as he looks down, he slowly watches his own signature, his very identity, peel from the paper like dead skin. In this terrifying final moment, Hess realizes that even his own name, his very existence, is just another fragile illusion, destined to be swallowed by the silence.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a deeply provocative thought. If all language is a borrowed construct destined to dissolve, how much of the reality you believe in is merely a comforting illusion waiting to become blank vellum? Really ask yourself, what happens when the very foundations of your own certainty finally run out of ink?